So today somebody told me, stop looking for the deeper meaning behind things. And that is something I can't do, and the reason why I can't do that is because everything has a deeper meaning whether you think it or not. It could be that car accident you had, or the death of someone, or it could be, something that you weren't meant to see but you ended up seeing. Like, there's always a deeper meaning to things than meets the eye. And I'll give you an example. So, last night I had a dream of a unicorn going on a murderous rampage. Basically, people were approaching this thing. It started as people were approaching this thing. It looked harmless. It looked welcoming. It wasn't dark. It was basically the opposite of dark. It looked very welcoming, but basically this thing lured them in and just killed them in a very disturbing way. And I'm not going to get into details about it though, but started going through this murderous rampage. And basically the whole surrounding place was very fantasy-like, but with a dark twist. Think of a fantasy land, like where everything is. Think of it's almost like an alien planet, almost, but with fantasy elements. Technically, an alien planet would be with fantasy elements, but this thing going around killing people it sees in sight. And then there was another unicorn. This unicorn was much darker, and it looked like something that represents something from hell, deep from the deep underworld, except this one was quite the opposite of the killer unicorn, or the unicorn of death. The unicorn of death was the white one, but this one was the opposite. It looked frightening, it looked scary, but it was harmless. And this one was sent to basically kill this other unicorn. And there was a fight to the death, and the unicorn of death ultimately died. And after it died, everything just came back to being normal. All the fantasy elements were gone. It was basically human Earth. It wasn't a fantasy anymore. To me, there is deeper meaning behind that. I don't know what it is, but there's a deeper meaning behind the unicorn of death being killed by a unicorn that looks like it's harmful. But the other unicorn, I'm trying to think of something to call it, but the white one is the unicorn of death, representing, atrocities and tragedy. While this other one it looks dark, it looks scary, it looks frightening, it looks like something that the demon straight from hell, but it's quite the opposite. To me, I think that the dark unicorn represents reality base, and that the unicorn of death represents fantasy and how it can basically take over people, or how some people get lost in their own little world and it overwhelms them to the point of where it completely takes over them and it turns them into someone they're not. But then the dark unicorn is representation of reality, and that reality is important because without reality, nothing exists. Even though that I do feel like this reality may not be real, because what is there has always been there, in my opinion. So you look at something and you go, you like the look of the rock, or a slide. Sure, it's just grown there, but it has always been there. It planned to be there at some point. It just didn't pop out of the blue. It had a reason for showing up there. it has a reason for growing in a specific spot, or the tree has a reason for dying. It's just my thoughts on it. Everything that is has always been, in my opinion. And I know this is going to come off as weird to people, but to deny God would be to deny creation. Because without creation, nothing would exist. And I am a firm believer that there is portals to other dimensions on this planet. And I do think that there are other realities where paranormal doesn't exist, whereas life as usual, business as usual, there is nothing paranormal. There's no wormhole, there's no French. But in this reality, there is. They say that we're not meant to see them, but I do believe them because I'm one of the few people who does. And the reason for it is, I don't think we're alone. We were put here for a reason, whatever that reason may be. And I do think that there are other life forms on other planets. And some of the things we're not meant to see, such as these things, such as the paranormal, or certain things like the Men in Black. The reason that there is the masses are not ready to see things as it should be. And if the masses were to find out about certain things, there would be mass panic and societal collapse. And I think that the reason why the Men in Black are there is to help humanity or mankind from destroying itself at times. And I think that's kind of why the ancient Egyptians died out. Because they went to their full potential, and their full potential took over them to the point of basically they lost touch with reality, and the term with power comes great responsibility, and they abused that. And whenever you have these societies or civilizations that were advanced ahead, they always collapse for some weird reason. There's always a mystery behind that. My theory is behind that is... Hold on, I need to process my thought on it. The reason why some of them have gone extinct is because they became too advanced in a way. You can become advanced in a good way, but it was in a bad way. They let... I'm trying to think, yeah. They basically let their... Sometimes I get thinking over things, and it's like I overthink things, and to the point where it's just like the point where I just don't know. I think the ancient Egyptians, they reached their full potential, and eventually they let it get to the best of them, and that's what brought them down. And who knows, maybe there's secrets there that we're not meant to know, that they hid from us, because they probably knew that future societies, if they were to find out about these secrets, we would end up following their footsteps and destroying our own civilization. And they wanted to prevent that. And that's why they've hidden some things. It's because there are certain things that would destroy our society, if you think about it. And that's pretty much my thoughts on this. I know it may seem far out, but they're just my thoughts. Maybe they are wrong, but I felt like making it because It's just sometimes I just think about these things and I just need to think out loud.